Everything is on fire right now. Hey guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here, and yeah, a few more crap storms just keep coming and coming, don't they? So yeah, you're probably wondering, like, in terms of new content, what's been on a bit of the table the last week. Things have been a little chaotic, let's just say. Aside from the copyright strike that happened, I'd say about a week ago or something like that, or a few days ago, I basically have been trying to get to work on doing due dates for a lot of projects. And just today, I was finally going to get back to work on the next episode of the Kong reviews, as well as get to work on the Zorro review, which is almost done, and start of the Star Wars reviews, which is almost done. And I was working on an episode today, and my editing software completely crashed. And so I figured, okay, it crashed, that usually happens. And I decided to basically move it to try to click on it again and reset my system. And all of a sudden, I get a glitch in my editing software where they say there is an error and that they can't load the editing document, and it was going to start fresh with a new project. So basically what my editing software did, and if you're wondering what I use Pinnacle. I use Pinnacle. And basically what happened was it erased my whole 2 days' work, and for some reason, all my media files that I allow to show on my editing screen are completely disappeared. You can't find them, and you check the media, the transitions, everything. For some reason, my Pinnacle software is completely fucked. So I've tried everything. I've tried reinstalling it. I tried reinstalling it. I tried defragging my computer. I tried everything, essentially. And basically, I can't really fix it, which means a few problems with upcoming productions. They are still coming. Let's just put that right there. They are still coming. These projects are still coming, and they are still in the works, but they might be delayed for a teeny bit. I can't give an answer on when they'll be done. And normally what I do is I try to keep a proper schedule. And unfortunately, I'm at the point with scheduling all these videos. Like, I like to keep you guys in the know. I like to keep you guys knowing when the next episodes are coming. But in this case, at the moment, I'm at the point where the projects are done when they're done. Because of technical issues with my editing software now, I think I might have to update to Pinnacle 21, as well as other projects that we need to shoot might have to be delayed somewhat because of weather or because of other problems that have come up. So that's the situation. So I'm without editing for the next few days. I'm without editing for the next little bit. So that's what's happening, unfortunately. So I figured in the meantime, I just keep you guys updated of what the hell's happening, and just get you guys updated of what's the situation on the channel. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you don't see many videos for a while or something, that's probably why. And I wish these guys, I've got like so many people messaging me right now, so I'm just going to close my Facebook right now. So anyway, that's what's happening. The bottom line, my editing program's fucked. I'm going to try to save what I have, and I'm going to get these videos up to you guys before, as soon as I can, basically. So yeah, the studio is basically on, so my editing studio is basically on fire. And that's what I mean if you're wondering what the title of this live stream is. It's because there's just been, the last week's been very chaotic. And just very chaotic of what the hell's happening here at home. So yeah, that's about it. Now, if you guys have any questions or whatever, let me know. I'll try to answer them and everything. And who do we got? So we got like 7 people already watching. We got TD Camper, Nick Jackson, of course. Hey, Nick. Alejandro, TJP123, Gavin Fitzgerald, So yeah, okay, Gavin, if you're wondering what is framed back there, that is a poster for Pink Floyd's The Wall. And my dad worked on that. Yeah, he was a production guy on a lot of shows and everything. So a lot of the posters you see are from his stuff he worked on. So, and yes, guys, I know before you guys even ask the question, I know you guys are wanting me to see Rampage. I haven't had the time. I've been trying so hard to book a day for me and Brad and a few guys to go see it, but we haven't had the time, or the weather's been shit. We can't make it out to the theater, or I don't have transit. So that's the major issue with seeing Rampage. I will get to it as soon as I can. You have my word. I will see it when I can. I'm really trying my damnedest to see it. And along with Infinity War, that's another one that's been on my list for a while. So, yeah, that's pretty much happening. And for those, I don't know if we have any new people coming in. What's the framed thing in your room? Which framed thing, Gavin? Which framed poster or whatever? I'm not too sure what you're talking about. But yeah, so for those who have just joined us, basically we're having some editing troubles in the editing programs, so some videos might basically be delayed, and the videos will be done when they're done. So for a lot of people who have been asking when certain videos are coming out or when this is happening, that's what's happening. Yeah, Morgan, Star Wars. That's one of the videos that might be possibly delayed because of this editing problem, this technical problem in the editing room. Granted, it's pretty much the first episode is in the works and it's almost done. We've gotten all the live action segments done, and I just need to put in the review clips. I'm just waiting to fix up my editing software. So again, if things are delayed, I apologize, and we will get to those videos as soon as we can. And you know what? At the same time, this is also a plus because it's also a plus because we're able to basically take more time on these projects in case we need some extra time to like make them look a little better. The horizontal thing on it's in a black frame by your movie posters. That frame is actually a plaque that was given as a thank you to people who worked on constructing Universal Studios Florida. My dad's friend helped build the park, and he gave that to me as a gift when he was going through all those old stuff. So he gave that to me as a present. So that plaque thing is from Universal Studios when it opened. What were your thoughts on Mechagodzilla and Ready Player One? For me, it was amazing. If you go watch my opening night with Brad, you can totally see my thoughts on that. And that will be the season finale to this year's run of reviews, because I feel like that's a perfect movie to end it on, especially for what I have planned. But yeah, Mechagodzilla looked cool. I think he's pretty much the legendary Mechagodzilla is what I think. Honestly, what that's probably going to end up being, in my perspective, is the legendary Mechagodzilla. Will you be doing reviews on King Kong in literature, comics in the near future? We plan to actually at some point talk about the Kong books, because we've doing a lot of the history ourselves. I read a lot of books on King Kong, from the history of the movie icon to King Kong Comic to the George Turner Making of King Kong book, even down to like some of the comic books I've read, and a lot of that stuff. And actually, with the comic books, if you watch the new intro to the BigJackFilms reviews, you'll notice there's one cameo that we're saving for a Kong episode. We filmed this cameo about a year ago, and we've just been waiting for the right time to show it. So if you know who it is, we got a certain comic book guy coming in to do a cameo on one of our episodes. Let's see. Fallen Kingdom toys are already out in many stores global. Yeah, I know, and I've been seeing all the people doing YouTube videos on it, and I want a lot of those toys. Because those toys look fucking amazing, and compared to the original Kennard stuff, they look fantastic. So I really want to get my hands on a couple if I can. Normally when I buy toys, I don't usually buy them brand new in the box. I usually wait a couple, actually, especially with the Fallen Kingdom toys, I'll probably wait about a year or two after the movies comes out, and I find them at car boot sales or at Value Village or at Goodwill thrift shops, because at least then I can get them for the same product for a way cheaper buck. Don't worry about the delay. We'll still be here for you when it's ready. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that, Morgan. Also, if you guys are interested, link below to our Patreon. Again, we are looking to get more Patreons in there because we do want to have this as a career. We also want to, at some point, put in Super Chat when we do the live streams. That's something we also want to do. And we also want to, I'm trying to think what else. We also want you guys to also support the link down below to our official website, BigJackFilms.com, because we're thinking about hosting a lot of our videos down there, mostly due to this, the whole copyright strike with the Mighty Kong. We will definitely try to host it there. Let's see here. Have you seen La Bamba? What is La Bamba? I don't know what the fuck that is. Is that like the is that the less Spanish version of Bambi? I have no idea. I don't know. It's like La Bambi, don't look back, and then she gets shot with, I don't know, a pinata. Yeah, instead Bambi's mom turns into a pinata. Will you be seeing the Meg? No. I think the problem is with the Meg is that it's overhyped. It's way too overhyped. I get it, it's a giant Megalodon movie with Jason Statham, but you know what? I saw the trailer for that. The first bit kind of got me, like when the shark chomps at the glass with the girl. That freaked me a little. But then the trailer changed drastically, and I was like, this is gonna be fucking stupid. Oh my god, how can you guys be hyped for this movie? I mean, the killer shark genre is pretty much, for me, dead. Especially with Sharknado. And they're saying they're gonna end it with the 6th film, and I'm like, fuck. You're really trying to put the 6-part saga in there. That's a little much. That's a little ridiculous for something like Sharknado. But I even commented in the trailer, I'm like, can we just get a Jaws 5 with Steven Spielberg directing and Richard Dreyfuss coming back and just end it? Just end the shark genre there, is what I think. So the Meg movie, I'm not interested in. But granted, with the new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom trailer, that shot of the mosasaur with the surfers, already 1,000 times better than the Meg. I'll put it like that. I think you will get a super posable Indoraptor and Thrasher T-Rex, and yes, they make human figures. I know, that's the thing with the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toys, is that the T-Rex looks great, the mosasaur looks great, and Indoraptor looks okay. I'm more excited for more of the Legacy line because they're more based on the first 4 movies, and I'm hoping because I know they're putting out a Spinosaur toy. I'm hoping they put one for the Indominus Rex, because I remember getting some point of the Indominus Rex and I fucking hated it. Let's see. Hello, Luke Herbert. If you're a new subscriber, I don't know many people here, but yeah, welcome to the live stream. Hope you're enjoying it. Will you ever go to Bob Burns Museum? I wish I could. I don't know what the policies are with visiting Bob Burns, but if I could at some point, I would. I know he lives in California, right? I won't be going to California anytime soon, but I would love to see what he has there. The Meg book is actually pretty good. If the movie turns out to be any chance it'll become the Jaws month bonus episode, probably not. Again, I have no interest in seeing the Meg. Black Panther kicks ass. I have yet to see Black Panther. I'm really far behind on my Marvel movies. I have yet the last one I kind of stopped at, and I haven't watched anything since Civil War. I haven't even seen Civil War. From Civil War to now, I have not seen any of those Marvel movies. Okay, you know what? I'm going to answer this one because I don't like getting into controversy. But with Mauricio Ortez asks, did you know about the Channel Awesome controversy? Okay. You guys are going to get a good insight on this. The Channel Awesome controversy. Ever since I started doing reviews, it was my dream to be on That Guy with the Glasses or Channel Awesome. Doug and Angry Joe, Linkara, Spoonie, all those guys really inspired me to do what I do. I'm just moving that. They really inspired me in my style of reviews. Especially Doug with Nostalgia Critic. And when you look at my show, I think of it as like Nostalgia Critic if you were stuck in an anime Roger Rabbit world. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I still like Nostalgia Critic. I still like, you know, Tanzer and Doug and Rob and all those guys. I love those guys. I met Doug. And in fact, you know what? Fuck it. Doug's a friend of mine. I've talked to him, and he's been very helpful and good guidance with some of improving my equipment, improving how to do pop films, how to do these kind of reviews. He's been really helpful. And I know the controversy is a huge problem right now, and the bottom line, I'm not taking sides. I'm not going to be on this whole, if you're with us, or you're either with us or against this bandwagon. I'm listening to everybody involved, and I understand it's an issue. I think the biggest issue with Channel Awesome is that it's got some questionable, if not bad ways of running a business, and it's being run by Mike Machad, who is, in my opinion, from what I've seen, a complete scumbag. However, I'm not going to rope Doug and Rob and Malcolm and Tamara into that, because what people are going after them for is being an accomplice in some crimes that this shit person did, which was Mike Machad, as well as Jew Wario. And, you know, I'll put it out there, I met Jew Wario when I met him. He was extremely nice, but looking now at what he's done, I can see the concern. So the whole thing. So I'm going to still support Doug. I'm still going to support Rob. I'm still going to support Malcolm, Tamara, Jim, Barney, all those guys. But yeah, I won't support Mike Machad. I will most likely hope that Doug would kick him out and possibly even leave Channel Awesome, which I'm hearing he is. I'm hearing he is leaving Channel Awesome. And if that's the case, he's probably going to start his own brand, his own. If he can get the Nostalgia Critic IP back, I hope he does. I think he has enough followers where he will be able to go ahead and do Nostalgia Critic without Channel Awesome. Because I think at the same time, he's still friends with a lot of the people who have left. And I think they can still continue a good working relationship, but without Channel Awesome. So, for me, and you know what, hell, I'll be honest, if Channel Awesome gets fixed, which I hope to God it does at some point, Mike Machad's got to leave or something like that. If Doug is looking for new talent on the site, I'll sign up immediately. I know Channel Awesome is a bit of a fuck up, and it's a big fixer upper, but for me, I would totally sign up for it. And if it gets me, and I don't care if it's volunteer work, I don't care if it's, you know, not paying me, it's giving me more exposure to my content. So bottom line, people, the whole Channel Awesome thing. For those who are in the whole, or either with us or against us way of mentality, like that kind of thinking, you gotta, it's not black and white. You gotta look at all the colors in the rainbow. And instead of picking a side, instead of fighting each other, instead of choosing who's going to be on your side, who's going to be deciding who's an enemy and who's a friend, look at everybody involved and try to get along. Don't try to make enemies. Don't try to burn bridges. You know, I'm one of those people who sees myself as a bit of kind of a hippie, like kind of the 60s hippie, you know, peace and love and all that shit. And that's what I gotta say. Like, there's so much diversity in the world right now, and I feel like there's not enough love. There's not enough love. It's all hate. It's all anger. And I think we all just got to start coming together as a community and as a society and just get the fuck along. And again, with Channel Awesome, it's like, yeah, everybody who's involved with the site, aside from Mike, is a good guy. But Mike's a fucking douchebag. Mike's a goddamn scumbag, and he needs to go. And then I think we can all move on. But don't blame Doug. Don't blame Rob. Don't blame anybody else involved. Hate leads to suffering, exactly, Thomas. But yeah, bottom line, that's my thoughts on Channel Awesome. That's my 2 cents. I just figured, fuck it, I'll get it out there because I know a lot of people consider me in the same talent as people like Nostalgia Critic and Amy Chan. And for that, you know, for those who comment on that, I tip my hat to you because I never think of myself as that good. I think of myself as a ripoff. But I'm very grateful for all of you guys saying, like, hey, you should be on Channel Awesome. Hey, you should be with Nostalgia Critic. Love to work with Nostalgia. I love to do an episode with them. But yeah, there's my thoughts. So let's move on to other questions. What's your opinion on if Universal makes a Jaws remake? I don't think that's going to happen as long as Spielberg is alive and well. I think, honestly, it wouldn't work, number one. But I think if they're going to do something, they should make a fifth Jaws and just make it like the last movie, end it on a high note, get Spielberg to direct, get legacy effects to do the animatronics in the same mold as the original shark, and just basically make it as a love letter to the first film, but also kind of try to find a way to just kill the shark genre right then and there, because it's getting a little annoying. It's getting a little annoying, especially with Meg. You know what? I would love to see somebody take the Meg trailer and replace all the shots of the Megalodon with Meg from Family Guy. I think that would be funny, and that would give the title of the Meg. Have you ever read Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's other books, the Professor Challenger series? I have not. I have read The Lost World. I read it years ago. But I was more a fan of the 1925 film. And right now, actually, I'm currently reading both Jurassic Park novels by Michael Crichton back to back. And so I'm currently really enjoying what is happening in those books. So right now, that's really all I'm reading. My King Kong documentary has presented the Toho Kaiju Union 2 weeks ago. It was on an online streaming service. That's great, Matthew Lee Planet. If you guys go to Matthew Lee Planet's YouTube channel, he provides a lot of great content. He's part of our channel, Friends. And he also has a great documentary on King Kong, which is absolutely fascinating and really informative. What movies have you seen Sean Connery in? My personal 2 favorite Sean Connery movies are surprisingly not James Bond. I like Last Crusade, but my 2 personal favorites are when he appeared in 2 movies based on the King Arthur lore. Because in my opinion, he's the best King Arthur if you go watch a movie called First Night. It was made in the mid-90s. I don't know if it did well, but it has great sword fights by Bob Anderson, and Sean Connery provides an amazing King Arthur. And the other King Arthur movie he worked on, and most of you guys probably wouldn't know this, that it's part of the King Arthur legend, is Dragonheart. I fucking love Dragonheart. Sean Connery as Draco is fantastic. I know the CGI is extremely outdated, but I love early 90s CGI, especially on that range. And Sean Connery provides a great dragon. Dennis Quaid, go watch Dragonheart. Fuck the sequels, but go enjoy Dragonheart and enjoy a great fantasy movie from the 90s, especially from Universal. And it's surprising, but yeah, Dragonheart does take place in the King Arthur lore. It takes place like 100 years after or something, because the Knights of the Old Code are basically the descendants of the Knights of Camelot. So there you go. Johnny and I already talked about the nostalgia critic controversy. I don't blame Doug. I don't blame anybody involved. I just blame Mike. Mike's a scumbag. Jaws goes to hell. Oh, you're gonna go the Jason route. You're gonna go the Jason route, aren't you, Thomas? God damn it! And then you're gonna make Jaws X where it goes to space. You know, I guarantee with the Fast and Furious sequels, as many as they're doing, once they hit number 10, they're going to space. I don't want to see that happen. Luke Herbert says, I'm going to Orlando, Florida for the first time in a few weeks. Going to Universal. What are some of the essential rides and attractions other than Kong? Thanks, Jack. E.T. Go on the E.T. adventure. Ride that a bajillion times. Also check out what's left of the classics. I would highly recommend E.T. Adventure. The animal actors. I really support a lot of the live shows they have there because I don't think they get as much attention as they used to. The Animal Actors live show is a classic and is really entertaining. I would also suggest one of their Universal Studios Florida attractions. Fast and Furious actually doesn't look half bad and is a decent replacement to Disaster/Earthquake. Jimmy Fallon I didn't ride because the last time I was there it wasn't finished. I don't mind Despicable Me. Shrek 4D scrap entirely because Shrek 4D is the worst thing at the park. But yeah, just enjoy the live performance. Hell, go to the horror makeup show. You will love the shit out of that. And as for Islands of Adventure, aside from Kong, as many as you can get in, Honestly, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter is a lot of fun, and it makes you feel like you've stepped into that world. But aside from that, I would also recommend the Spider-Man attraction, the Popeye ride. The Popeye ride is great, especially on a hot day because it's a nice water rapids ride. That's a lot of fun. And the one that I actually only saw last year for the first time, and I really enjoyed it, was the Adventures of Sinbad stunt show. Having only watched the Harryhausen Sinbad movies fairly recently, about a few years ago, I thoroughly enjoyed them, and then watching the stunt show really reminded me a lot of the old Harryhausen Sinbad movies. So those are the attractions I would recommend. And also support a lot of the live performers because they really work their asses off at the park. They made a new Lost World movie starring based on Conan Doyle's book. Do you think it's because of Michael Crichton's book that they would change the name? I don't think so. I don't think they would change it. I think if anything, they'd call it Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, just to not get confused like they've always done. But again, I would love to see a live action remake. Have I seen The Sandlot? Yes, and a lot of people consider it this great classic baseball movie. It's nah, honestly, for me. I like The Sandlot. I mean, it's got James Earl Jones in it, I think, right? Is the main guy. For me, my favorite baseball movie is Angels in the Outfield, starring Danny Glover, Tony Danza, and Christopher Lloyd, and not to mention Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Adrian Brody, and Matthew McConaughey. I'm not lying. They're in that movie, and go check it out. And it also because that movie opens with them battling the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays are my home team. Let's see here. Let's see. What is your thoughts on the script of Ghostbusters Hellbent? I'm not the biggest Ghostbusters fan. I've seen the first one, and I thought it was okay. I haven't seen the second one. I like the live show at Universal. I refuse to see that piece of shit movie. The new movie. So I don't know about any of the extra projects of Ghostbusters. What do you do in class to kill time? I don't go to class, Ned. I've been out of high school for a couple years now. I pretty much when I was in high school, I didn't do any classes because the system kind of fucked me over. And I essentially ended up that's where I actually started to get into YouTube was in high school. I mostly spent my time in high school working little jobs for credits and eating lunch, and then occasionally working on my early YouTube videos. That's kind of how I started, was in high school. Funny enough, it was 2007. That was fucking 10 years ago. Holy shit. I hope Mattel makes an Indominus Rex someday. I do too, Alejandro. I hope at some point they do that. Did you know that J.R.R. Tolkien was working on a sequel to Lord of the Rings called The New Shadow? Yeah, and I think, didn't it get turned into the Silmarillion? I'm not too sure. And I really, to bring up with Lord of the Rings, the whole, I guess if you're wondering about the whole Amazon TV series, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hearing rumors they are teaming up with Peter Jackson to produce the show, and that it's going to be basically the Book of Lost Tales, which is all the stories in between. And I hope that's the case. I really hope they don't reboot Lord of the Rings. I hope they would be able to, Warner Brothers and Amazon are able to come together and do a proper show that's in continuity with the Jackson movies. Because you can't get enough of Jackson's Middle-earth, honestly. And yes, I have seen Lindsay Ellis's Hobbit videos. As much as I like the Hobbit movies, I can see how that was a big production hell for everybody involved. Holy shit, we got a lot of people. Who would win, Dominus Rex or V-Rex? I think V-Rex is bigger, so probably him. Have I seen Ready Player One? Yes, Johnny. Go to my channel and you can check out my opening night with Brad. Kong versus Mosasaurus would be an interesting fight. Funny enough, Alejandro, that was planned for my Kong remake. I was planning to have Kong cross a river and fight. Originally, it was going to be a Chronosaurus. Either a Chronosaurus or a Mosasaurus, that's what I had planned, and I never got to finishing it because it didn't come out very practical. I never got around to it. It just seemed impossible to shoot. Thank you for answering the questions. Also, the first night was, you were talking about the last night was filmed near me in the Wales and Village near Oh, nice! That's cool. That's actually pretty cool, Luke. Hello, Mod Britain. Are you actually British? I'm not too sure. Will you ever review John Sayles' JP4 script? Probably not. The Jurassic Park Legacy, this year is going to be relying on essentially 4 subjects. Jurassic Park arcade games, as well as a few video games, Jurassic Park toys, as well as the Jurassic Park ride, and then eventually ending with Fallen Kingdom. And again, because of the editing problems here at the studio, those might be delayed somewhat. The only thing there is nuclear power station. And I think my old art teacher was an extra, if I'm correct. Oh, that's cool. Next time I do a live stream, if you ever want to contact me, let me know about that story, man. Do you know anything about Hollow Earth? And if you do think it would make a great action-adventure movie, sort of like Indiana Jones? No, I've never heard of Hollow Earth. Sorry, Screaming Joker Productions. That's a great name, by the way. I heard Universal Studios Park is bringing Jurassic World and updating their dinosaur animatronics. Yes, that's actually been confirmed. I'm part of a group on Facebook. If you guys want to go look it up and join, it's called Confrontation, a group for the Eighth Wonder and Lost Universal Attractions. It's a group site I made, and I basically did it out of spite since the Jaws ride closed. So I've been always sharing old school content from Universal there. And I got word from a guy who really has good ties with Universal Hollywood that in, I think, September, they're going to be closing down Jurassic Park the ride and updating it to Jurassic World. And from what I heard, it's going to be the same ride system, but it's going to be Jurassic World based, and they're going to include better animatronics, upgraded special effects, and it's basically going to be a new version of Jurassic Park the ride. I'm also hearing rumors that the Creatures, Australian company Creatures, who did the Walking with Dinosaurs live show, as well as the King Kong musical and the animatronic for Skull and Reign of Kong, are also going to be involved. So that's a plus. I think there should be more awareness of the fact that they're going to be closing it down. This leak has been confirmed. So if you guys have heard that leak, if you go to the community on my channel, I do talk about that. So you can go send the word there. What movies do you have on film? This is probably an interesting question, Gavin. For those who have seen my videos, you'll notice I have a lot of film reels. I have a lot of film reels, especially with a character I created called Mother Carter Carl, who lives in the basement. Basically, the way I have all those films is because a few years ago, I was working at a local movie theater as a ticket booth guy, and working there, cleaning up the theaters and everything. And I got to know the projectionist, and at the time, they were still running film. They were still running 35mm film. And I was working again in school hours, and when I was doing the last day, the guy gifted me with a lot of film trailers, reels of film trailers. And some of the ones I own are The Avengers, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, The Sinner. These are mostly film trailers. I own an interesting copy of the trailer for Pirates Band of Misfits. And what's interesting about the trailer is that when they screened it, it was playing forward, but the audio was in reverse. So they had to basically scrap that trailer, and I just said, I'll take it. And that's the one, because it's just a crap trailer, I just use it to cut, trim, and use as a major prop for stuff. So even if you were to play it today, it'd be the most scratched up piece of film you could imagine. What happened to the opening night for Rampage? I unfortunately have not had time to see it. My schedule's been a little overwhacked, or it's been a little chaotic, so I've been trying to get to see it with Brad and Evan and a few other people, but we just haven't found the right time to see it. But it will be coming. You have my word, I will be seeing that film. What James Bond movies have you seen? I've only really seen GoldenEye, Die Another Day, and Skyfall. That's really the only ones I've ever seen. I'm not the biggest Bond fan, but I do appreciate what James Bond has brought to pop culture. When Digital should do the dinosaur effects since their first dinosaur effects were in Congo 5 for the Lost World remake, or I'm sorry, I missed out on some of the comments. Let me just scroll up here. What you guys are talking about. When a Digital doing the dinosaur effects, I wouldn't say that. I give it to Island because, either way, I don't want just more simulators and shit because that shit's really overdone. In my perspective, it's really overdone. All right, what's Twilight like? Twilight's fucking terrible. But here's the thing. I've only seen, out of all the Twilight movies, Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2. I actually prefer part 1 over part 2 because part 1 was actually, I was dragged to my sister to see it because I figured, what the hell, I'll go see what all the crap is about. And I was surprised, as much as it was bad, I was surprisingly intrigued by the story and what the characters were going through. And granted, it's a lot of bullshit, and it's a lot of bad writing, directing, and everything, but I thoroughly thought the concept was interesting. Then I saw the director's other film, Beauty and the Beast, the live-action remake, and this is going to sound terrible. That movie's bad. Like, Beauty and the Beast remake is almost as bad as the 90s remake of Psycho, but it's kind of sad when I appreciate Breaking Dawn Parts 1 and 2, or Part 1. I appreciate Breaking Dawn Part 1 more than I do the live-action Beauty and the Beast movie. That's saying something how bad that fucking movie was. Because I remember watching it, and I was literally infuriated how bad it was. Because it's pointless. The cartoon was better, and they fuck up what made the cartoon great. So, I'm trying to think, but with Breaking Dawn Part 2, I was looking forward to it because the whole battle scene, and then I find out it's all a dream. I'm like, yep, this movie stinks. So, that's my thoughts on the Twilight films. What phone do you have? I just got an updated phone. It's a Samsung, I think Galaxy S8. I'm not too sure. But I just got it recently, so it works pretty well. Kid Cut Shorts, the guy that made King Kong 70's Kids, are releasing a documentary on their old films and how they made them. I actually saw that trailer. I'm really looking forward to see what that's all about. I don't know if it's going to be on YouTube, but I'm hoping to hear more about it because that should be interesting. Especially since I already reviewed one of his films. I would highly suggest you look into the YouTube videos about it, wait, Hello Earth, okay. Screaming Joke was the name of the movie. Okay, interesting. Sorry, just kind of blanked out there. Most underrated and overrated Star Wars film. Underrated, I'm gonna have to say maybe the Phantom, no, not Phantom Menace. It depends on good and bad. I think underrated for most of the time. I think Return of the Jedi is underrated. I think a lot of people give that movie a bad rap. But I personally love Jedi. I really like Return of the Jedi. Maybe even Last Jedi, I thought was actually pretty decent. I know there's a lot of stuff people don't like. There's a lot of stuff I didn't like. But I overall enjoyed it for how new and creative it was and giving a new take on Star Wars. The most overrated, in terms of bad Phantom Menace, because I really don't think Phantom Menace is not half bad. I really don't think so. There's problems with it, but granted, it's probably the most visually appealing out of the prequels. Because over time, the prequels just got really badly CGI'd. So that's with Star Wars. Hey, Justin, I'm doing well. Things are a little chaotic. For those who have just joined us, our editing system is kind of fucked, and videos might be delayed. That's the short of it. Matthew says, have I seen the trailer for Christopher Robin? Yes, that looks so good, honestly. I was a little skeptical, and I didn't even know this movie was coming in. I knew there was rumors about a live-action Winnie the Pooh movie, but I thought the story happened, and then I heard nothing of it. And then I saw the trailer, I'm like, okay, what's happening with that? Oh shit, live-action Winnie the Pooh, and he's voiced by Jim Cummings. It's just the adventures of Winnie the Pooh and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am seeing this fucking movie. It had a real hook vibe to it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that movie. I want to see that, along with Mary Poppins Returns. That actually looks pretty decent. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Lion King remake? I did a Let's Talk on it. You can check it out on my channel. I actually am interested to see where they're going with it. And I think by that time also I will review the original movie because that's been on my radar to talk about for a long ass time because that was the first movie I ever saw in theaters back in 1994. I was 2 and I remember that shit. Have you ever heard of King Kong Cocktail? Is that a drink? If that's the case, that'd be interesting to do for a food corner. Granted, I probably won't. I don't drink much alcohol, but I would probably do that for a food corner. Do you like Emma Watson? Post Harry Potter, no. I think when Harry Potter, she was actually pretty decent. Nowadays, I feel like she can't really act. She can't sing. And she's got a little bit of an ego, which I did not care for. What's your favorite slasher villain? Mine is Jason. I think of Jason. I think of Jason, the king of the slashers. That's tough, slasher guys. I think I am more of a fan of Michael Myers. Because I've watched a lot of that. Every Halloween, AMC constantly plays the Halloween movies, and I always tune in for those. So I've always been a fan of Michael Myers. And speaking of Michael Myers, guys, I am really looking forward to that Halloween remake coming out. The poster got me, and it looks like it's a step in the right direction. So I'm wanting to see what that's all about. Have you seen The Dark Crystal? It's one of my favorite movies, and there's a thing to make a mini documentary on it, and it's going to be a Netflix series. I have The Dark Crystal on Blu-ray. I have yet to watch it. It was never something I grew up with, but I think at some point I will take a look at it. I got it with both that and Labyrinth, and I like Labyrinth a lot. I think that's a fun movie, and David Bowie's phenomenal. Have I seen Pacific Rim? No. I remember sitting through the first 15 minutes of Pacific Rim, and I got really bored. I think I'll give it a second glance, but for me, it's just kind of meh. I heard rumors, though. I'm seeing this picture going around that Pacific Rim Uprising has a profile of all these kaijus, and they're all from like different movies like Gamera and Godzilla and everything. I don't know if that's 100% official, but if that's the case, are they putting that in the kaiju in the Legendary Monsterverse? That's a curious question. My favorite Jurassic Park male characters, Owen Grady and Melvin Algarve. Yeah, they're the stars of the whole franchise. I like John Hammond, though. John Hammond's cool. Your favorite Godzilla suit design? Probably either 84 or the Destoroyah Burning Godzilla. Although my personal favorite Godzilla design, which I so wish they did a movie on at some point, or they took that whole design. Stan Winston's Godzilla maquette, I want to see happen in a film so bad, because I think it's very practical for either a suit or CGI. I want to see that happen. Because Stan Winston's Godzilla design looks perfect and freaking tastic. What's your height? That's 6 foot. Would you like to see King Kong rip Edward Cullen apart and flush him down a toilet? Picturing that, I would kind of like to see that. Have you seen the new trailer for the new Venom movie? I've seen that leaked thing today of Venom, and I'm like, yeah, look, yeah, Tom Hardy's got this. Already better than Spider-Man 3. And I'm hearing 50-50 rumors that it is part of the MCU, and I hope to God it's part of the MCU, because I think Venom would fit in there very nicely, especially with Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I really think they should do that. What time is it where I'm at? It is almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Surprisingly enough, but I've got enough sugar in my system to talk to you guys for a little bit more. Let's see here. So somehow King of the Apes is getting a second season on Netflix. Chance for redemption, or is Netflix just beating a dead horse? It's beating a dead horse. Just watching a full fucking hour-and-a-half pilot movie of it, I had enough. It was fucking terrible. And funny enough, one thing that happened after I put that review out was I got a comment from somebody saying, if you thought watching it for an hour-and-a-half was bad, try working on it for a year. It turns out it was one of the animators from the show who said that they knew they were getting into it, they knew it was bad, but they were doing their job. So I understand that being a piece of shit and doing your job. And he also said he was the one who ripped off the shot from Transformers, so I thought that was funny. Scott McNeil did a good job voicing Wolverine. Was that in one of the X-Men cartoons? Because I love Scott McNeil, and Scott McNeil is a great guy. I've met him. Really cool dude. He's like the Mel Blanc of Canada, in my perspective. I really enjoyed him as Dinobot, Waspinator, and Rat Trap in Beast Wars. Preferred him mostly as Koga and Inuyasha. He was phenomenal. A lot of people wonder if I think of him as Piccolo. I prefer Chris Sabat as Piccolo. All right, let's see here. Would you want to see would you want to see, who would you want to see direct a Kong movie? We kind of got that with Jordan Fogg Roberts, but if they decide to do another remake, oh, that's tough. We'd love to see what John Landis had planned, or hell, if Peter Jackson just wants to remake it again, I'm all for it. Peter Jackson must love apes, doesn't he? Yeah, his company at Weta like to do a lot of ape movies, especially with Rampage out. Best Kong deleted scene. Depending on your point of view on that? You're talking the original, you're talking 76, you're talking about 05, you're talking about my movie, not too sure. How many Godzilla Toho Kaiju films have you seen? I've seen the majority of them. Have you ever been to Wisconsin? Yes, I used to live in Wisconsin, actually, Gavin. I used to live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, from like 1998 to 2002. That's where I was making a lot of my early movies was at that time, and I was in elementary school. It's a decent place. A lot of flooding now. Too much flooding in Wisconsin, in my opinion. They have too much water. Best Shia LaBeouf movie. I don't know. Holes. Disturbia. The first Transformers. Shia LaBeouf just... Surf's Up, actually, I really like. Because, you know, he's not showing his face. He's just voicing him. He's still doing the no thing. The new Shadow would have been... let's see. The new Shadow would have had Aragorn's son be poisoned in the mind, and the Dark Lord have Gondor being taken over by an evil cult. It would have been J.R. Tolkien's story for a sequel. That actually was going to happen? That's interesting. Does the Shadow have anything to do with Sauron, or is Sauron completely defeated and this is a new threat? Because that's interesting. Thoughts on Hasbro rebooting Transformers after Bumblebee movie? Okay, so here's the thing with the Transformers movies, guys. I like the first one, and I like the third one. The second one is fucking terrible. The fourth and fifth one, I have yet to see, or if I care to see, I don't really give a fuck. The Bumblebee movie looks like it's going in the right direction. However, in terms of them rebooting it, it is a little sad that we are seeing the end of this era, even though, like, the Transformers movies for some people have been pretty entertaining. In my opinion, I don't think they're necessarily going to reboot it. They probably are, but I think they're going to start a new timeline. And I think I know where they're going to go with it. Beast Wars. I want my goddamn Beast Wars movie, because Beast Wars was my generation's Transformers. That was the Transformers I grew up with, and I would love to see somebody other than Bay tackle a good Beast Wars movie. And in terms of the voice acting, you know, Peter Cullen or Garrett Chalk as Optimus, I wouldn't care who would voice him. But I think Frank Welker and Hugo Weaving should be scrapping with Megatron. Get David Kaye. Get David fucking Kaye to voice Megatron again. I would pay to see him in theaters just go, the planet has energon. Yes. I fucking love Beast Wars. That's what I want to see happen. Are you going to Universal Studios anytime soon? Not really. I've taken a break from it for a while because I want to save the money and focus on using that to produce other projects. Let's see here. Would you like to see Count from Sesame Street beat up Emperor Cullen? There's fan art of that, and it's fucking amazing. 1 punch to the face. 2 punch to the face. 3 punch to the face. What about if Steven Spielberg directed Kong? I would love to see that. Give it the kind of Jurassic Park spin. You know, he kind of already did that. Lost World Jurassic Park. That's his Kong movie. Except there's no giant gorilla. Between the Japanese and English cuts of King Kong vs. Godzilla, which one do you think is the superior? I like the American version because that's the one I grew up with, but I think the definitive version is the Japanese one. I live in Wisconsin. Yeah, it's not a bad place, man. Would you consider going to Wizard World Madison? If they want to fly me in as a guest, I totally would. Probably. First YouTube video ever watched. I think really the first thing I ever watched on YouTube was probably mostly old Lego videos that people used to post. Aside from that, it would probably be the Angry Video Game Nerd. I really got into YouTube because of James. I really got into a lot of his content. That was some of the first stuff I ever watched. Occasionally I watch stupid videos like the Elmo Numa video. There's a clip from Farce of the Penguins called Global Warming, which is a very funny scene from that movie. And guys, if you haven't seen Farce of the Penguins, go check that movie out. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, that was some of my first YouTube videos I ever watched. Terminator 1 and 2 are the best. I like the first one. I love the first one. The first one's my favorite. The second one I think is a really good sequel. The third one has problems, but I really love the ending. And I love the fourth one. And I don't really want to watch the 5th one because they fucked the timeline up and it's fucking stupid. I'm looking forward to see what they do with 6, though. I'm looking forward to see what Cameron does. I really wish you could review my JP film. I want to know your opinion. I'll have to take a look at it. Maybe I can do it as, if you want, I could probably do it as a reaction video. Because I think one thing I do want to do is a lot of people are requesting me to talk about fan films. And there's only so many I can review. So, if anything, I could probably do a reaction of it. If that's good. I can do a reaction and then a review after. What was it like to interview John Gelman's wife? The story about that is interesting because I did my John Gelman tribute after he passed away, and I immediately got a comment from his widow saying thank you so much, and I was surprised that a person that close actually got in contact and said my tribute was really good because I was one of the only few people who did that. And I eventually found her on Facebook, and we just started talking. And I told her, her husband did some amazing films, did my personal favorite film. She was very complimentary about it. She was very flattered. And I asked her before 85 Years of Kong, about a month in advance, I said, do you want to do an interview for my channel? And just talk about her stories? And she said, yeah, sure. So we did that interview, and I posted it, and did pretty well. So that's the story about that. And we still keep in touch once in a while. Mary's a really, really cool person. Really nice to talk to. How long has it been since you've seen Indiana Jones? I actually watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I watched the trilogy actually pretty recently. I didn't really grow up with Indiana Jones as a kid. I was more Star Wars. But I only really first time watched the entire trilogy before Crystal Skull came out. And I thought, wow, these are fun movies. And then I saw Crystal Skull, and that was a piece of shit. But really, I mean, the Indiana Jones movies, I'm slowly getting a lot more interested in, and I really like the style of adventure they have. So that's my thoughts on the Indiana Jones movies. So 6, I'm kind of just like, well, I can see why. Get one more with Harrison. Here's what I'd say: do one more with Harrison, and then go the route of James Bond and reboot it and get a new guy to play Indy. Personally, I would prefer Chris Pratt as Indiana Jones. He would be really good at that. And that's the thing. If you do it like James Bond, you could do new adventures. You could do new stories with Indy and not have it all be in the same continuity. Any Kong books recommendations? I would recommend The History of the Movie Icon. That to me is the King Kong Bible. And that's by Ray Morton. You can grab it on Amazon.com for pretty decent prices. I'd say get a used copy, because the older copies, the new copies go for some pretty heavy prices. But I usually buy all my Amazon stuff used because it's cheaper. So that's what I would recommend: is get the History of the Movie Icon for more the complete history. If you want something more in the psychological realm, like the more psychiatric and thematic philosophies of Kong, I would recommend King Kong Cometh. There's a very interesting chapter that's fucking hilarious to read. And then the George Turner Making a King Kong book would be good. And also, if you want to get more on 76, pick up The Creation of Dino De Laurentiis' King Kong. That was a book came out prior to the movie. You can get it at decent used versions for cheap prices on Amazon. Those are the books I would recommend for Kong fans. Also, one more I do want to put in: Inside King Kong by I forget who the guy's name is. He was Rick Baker's stunt double in the film, and he was in the suit. He was the guy who who broke the gate and jumped into the chloroform thing. He also did the jump over the World Trade Center. Get his book. It's called Inside King Kong. You can get it for decent prices on Amazon, and it's a great journal about this guy and being involved. It gets a really interesting insight on the production, and great book in my opinion. Have you heard of the lost films by Ishiro Hondo called Half Human? I have not. I've never heard of that one. I'll have to look into that one. What was it like when you saw Indiana Jones 4 in theaters? I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it at the drive-in. I usually, some summer movies, I'll actually go, like, especially the kind of B-movie adventure genre, I'll go see it at the local drive-in. I saw it after watching the first 3, and it fucking sucked. It was fucking terrible. Crystal Skull, Aliens, Shia LaBeouf was okay, Indy was okay, but it was just stupid. It was so fucking dumb. And I'm sorry, but Harrison, as much as he was good as Han Solo, he's too old to be Indy. So yeah, Crystal Skull. I'm one of those people who say that movie sucked hard. My favorite Kong 2005 film score is Tooth to Claw. Tooth to Claw is a good track. I prefer Central Park. It's a very beautiful piece by James Newton Howard. Pretty much the last act is my favorite piece of score. Worst unmade King Kong movie idea. Probably. That's a tough one. That's a very tough one, Gavin. I would say probably nah. That's a toughie. That's a really good question. I'll have to get back to you on that. I'd probably say anything that involves any sci-fi shit is the worst thing you can do with Kong. Let's see. Are you going to see Avengers Infinity War? I do want to see that because that movie looks badass. I just got to find the time to see it. I'm hoping my local drive-in can play Infinity War and Rampage as a double feature. If that's the case, I can knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. So I'm hoping me and Brad can go see that soon. Let's see. The new Shadow would have had the Dark Lord be, what's his name? Heromir. Sounds like a hero's name. I think he was one of the Blue Wizards. Okay, that's interesting. One of the Blue Wizards. Sauron is destroyed. I think he intended for Morgoth would have been the rise of the story. Would Heromir have the orcs? That's the biggest question. Screaming Joker Productions. Did your dad work with the Beatles? No, but he worked with Pink Floyd's The Wall, and he also worked with Paul McCartney. And he also worked with Ringo Starr. That's how my parents met. And he also worked with Bryan Adams. I think he also worked with Lenny Kravitz and helped launch the album to Dirty Dancing. That's my dad's story. Maybe at some point, if you guys want him on, I'll bring him on. I think he'd be interesting. Let's see here. What movie or TV series would you enjoy seeing a crossover with King Kong? That's interesting. I remember as a kid, I always thought of interesting franchise crossovers that would be good with King Kong. Some of them are completely ridiculous. I always figured something like Rosario Vampire. In my perspective, I'm just gonna camera down. Rosario Vampire, in my perspective, has a lot of potential to have different crossovers with different franchises. Probably the most poignant would be Back to the Future. I think, because Rosario Vampire has a real Back to the Future tone to it. That's what I would choose for, in terms of a crossover. And even King Kong would be interesting to do. I don't know how you would do it. How you explain how the monsters at Yokai would end up being, in some realm on Skull Island, but that would be interesting. Go, fan fiction writers, to your fucking keyboards. Let's see here. What do you think of the new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom trailer? It looks fun. It looks like a fun movie. I'm not gonna have big hopes on it, but it just looks like they're finally going the route of turning it into a horror franchise. And I do like the concept of them destroying the island because, hey, it's a perfect adaptation of the original arcade game by Sega. Is what I think of that. Donkey Kong versus Wreck-It Ralph. Who would win? I'd go with Donkey Kong. Boy, Donkey Kong, best thing ever. Actually, funny enough, I've been playing some fucking Super Nintendo today. I ended up playing Mario All-Stars today on the Super Nintendo. I was bored because I'm waiting for my computer to get fixed. Alright, let's see. Do you think that Clark Gable would have made a good Jack Driscoll, or do you think it would be pretty good? Who's Clark Gable again? I can't remember. Was he an old school actor? I'm not too sure. Can't taking a deep breath. How much did I miss? Master Builder, basically here's what happened. I'm just giving an update about, for those who have just joined us, my editing software has completely fucked, and I have to wait to update it, so some videos are now going to be delayed indefinitely, and when they're done, they're done. So I might keep it up with live streams until it's fixed, but in the meantime, we are in a bit of a shit pickle right now in terms of editing any new content. What happened to your first King Kong remake? Okay, you've obviously, Gavin, you've done your history. When King Kong, the 2005 film, came out, and I was watching the original, that's when I really started to get fascinated, was when Peter Jackson's film came out. And eventually what happened was I made a lot of films at the time with a mini DVD camera. And one of my first films I ever did was, on the DVD cam, was a remake of King Kong using action figures and Legos. And all I would do is, move the figures in front of the screen. I wouldn't do any animation. And eventually what happened was, I had it. It was pretty much shot in sequence, unedited. And I've looked everywhere for the disc, and I can't find it, so that film is lost. I remade it again in 2007, I think. It was right when I started YouTube. I did a remake, and again, it was doing the same thing, but it was using animation, yet the quality was terrible. That's up on my channel. You can check it out. The third remake, which was the recreation entirely in Lego, was my third attempt doing it, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing that. I did have, funny enough, I had an attempt around when I was in high school. I was really playing with the idea. And one of the things I did was, I used to make a lot of my videos on Lego Studios, which was an old program on Windows XP. And the quality was terrible. I'm using a shitty webcam. And I did some tests. And I did some tests in a Kong suit, and I did some tests in with some claymation. And I thought, let me try to do some rear screen projection, see what happens. And I did a couple tests with my buddies. It didn't come out the best, and I was going to do it back then, but I scrapped it. I was going to do all claymation. So it wasn't until I got a Sony Handycam and a better laptop and a better editing software that I thought I could finally do the remake I've always wanted, which I eventually did. So that's the story of all my remakes, basically. So how much did I, let's see. Hey Jack, have you ever seen the Tremors movies, and what do you consider reviewing them? I've never really seen Tremors. I know what they're about. I know what they are, but they never got my interest, honestly. Maybe at some point down the road I could review them, but I don't know. It's not really on the to-do list. Are you optimistic and pessimistic for next MonsterVerse films? I'm very optimistic. I don't like to go into movies expecting them to suck. I like to look at everything in a positive light. So even movies or projects or shows or stuff that happens, I always try to be optimistic, hoping for the best. I don't like to always think about the worst first. I like to think about the best. Now, granted, that leads to more disappointment, but there's always a sense of, like, hey, let's lighten up, people. The MonsterVerse films, I'm really looking forward to see what they have, and I have my own concepts of what I want them to do. After Kong vs. Godzilla, I want to see Kong or Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, especially with Ready Player One now. There's more interest in seeing that. I want to see spin-off films with Mothra and Rodan and, Gigan and shit. I want to see all these other monsters do stuff. I want to see the last film with Godzilla. I would like to see a remake of Godzilla vs. Destroyer. That, personally, to me, would be a good thing to finish off the series with. Well, on the positive side, at least, we can interact with you here. Yeah, that's true, Master Builder. That's very true. I really appreciate you guys all coming on here and talking to me, because I'm honestly, now that my editing software is fucked, I do need to entertain you guys somehow, and just communicating with you guys is absolutely fantastic. I would highly suggest you through the adventures of young Indiana Jones. Some episodes better than others. I heard Young Indiana Jones was an interesting show. I don't know if I'd ever take a look at it. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe at some point. How would you remake Son of Kong? This is a question I get a lot. Is people asking me if I'm going to do a sequel. The answer is no. I would not do a sequel. And here's the thing. If I were to do a sequel to my own Kong movie, I wouldn't make it even Son of Kong. I would just call it Skull Island. And I've always had the concept of what a sequel would be, and I think what it would follow is basically the government is now getting involved in getting to the island, even though they've kept it hidden. Because the whole thing about Skull Island, the reason that it's been hidden since 2016 or 2013, which it takes place in, is because the government is all over covering that shit up. It's like Area 51. My concept is that they have, like, bellboys that surround about a few kilometers away from the island, so that if any ships go past those bellboys, the government will call him and say, turn around right now, because no ship has come back and they want to keep it hidden under wraps. So now that Skull Island has been found, I would think the government would want to get involved. It's like Fallen Kingdom, you know. We want to go in there. We want to explore it. We want to exploit it. We want to maybe turn it into a weaponized thing, find what's on there. So my concept is that the government would now get involved, wanting to make a mission to Skull Island. And they would obviously Denham's dead. And I would say it would be more of a, like, kind of a boys movie with both Jack Driscoll and Bob coming back. And Bob would now become a primary villain. And I would focus on their relationship a bit more, because I do write in that Bob is the son of the CEO of Inglehorn Corp, and that the reason he's so bitter towards Jack is because Jack got a higher class than what he feels he's entitled to. So I would put that in. I feel like Jack would be more resentful, more like, I don't know if I want to go, especially since he has to take care of Anne. Now, Anne would not go back, because she is dealing with PTSD, and she would be dealing with depression, and she doesn't want to go back. And, you know, Jack knows that she doesn't want to go back. And he's there. I kind of like the idea that they're going kind of where they're basically, you know, not wanting the press to harass them. It's kind of like how Denham is in Son of Kong. And basically Jack would be like, look, I'm going to go, but my wife isn't going. She's staying here because she can't do it again. She can't handle it. So I even like to think that maybe, like, Jack doesn't tell her, and maybe she finds out they get into an argument or something like that. So Jack would basically become like Ian Malcolm in The Lost World. And, you know, he's all about this stupid, don't do this, this is a bad idea. And they go to the island, and they just go on another jungle adventure, and there is no Son of Kong. Kong is the last of his kind. And it would be more focused on the dinosaurs. So it'd be like The Lost World. It's just focused on the dinosaurs and, you know, the possibility of capturing them. And you know what? Fuck it. I would make the island blow up. I wouldn't have it. I would pretty much do all the stuff that was planned for previous sequels, as well as stuff that some Jurassic Park stuff or Lost World stuff would do. And I would do that. I would do what, like, that's one of the tricks with projects for creating new ideas, is take old ideas that were either canceled or lost and make those into films. And that's one of the reasons I like Jurassic World so much, is that they took concepts and ideas from all the previous films that never made it into the films and put it into this film. For example, the pteranodons in the helicopter. That was supposed to be in The Lost World, and they scrapped it, so they put it in this movie. So I like the idea of recycling ideas that never came to fruition. So that's my thoughts on what the Son of Kong sequel could be. And who knows, maybe I'll do a Let's Talk on that or something, but for me, it's like, that's what I would do for a sequel. Do you think you'll be here? Do you think you'll be here for some comic books? I've always been curious about the novelization. Yeah, I've been wanting to get the Dallas W. Lovelace novel for a while. I just haven't had the time to get it. I have the novelization of the Peter Jackson film, which is very informative and very detailed. But I don't think I would. I would talk about the Dallas W. Lovelace book if I could. Okay, let's see here. How much money did you spend on the gambling machines when you did your King Kong video games episode? I didn't really, you know what? I didn't really do any online gambling or anything. I just played them for free. But some of the machines, bear in mind, some of the games I played, guys, I unfortunately couldn't get a hold of, so I would just take clips off YouTube. But, like, the games I did own, I did play, and I did enjoy them. So, but a lot of the slot machines, I didn't use any money or anything. I just played them online for a little bit and then took them down. But like the pachinko machines and shit, I never played those. I just discovered them on YouTube. I just wanted to bring them to light. Thanks for answering my Trevor question. Have you seen the new Venom trailer? As I already said, already better than Spider-Man 3. I really hope it's part of the MCU. Which movies are so bad that you have a fun time riffing on how bad they are? So basically, guilty pleasures, Justin. Okay, I have a few guilty pleasures. Most of them reside in the animated realm. And some of them Nostalgia Critic has covered. One of my favorite bad animated films that I have a lot of fun watching, and I know how bad it is, but it's mostly because I grew up with it, The Magic Voyage. I know it's historically inaccurate. I know it's a terrible animation from Germany, and they got Corey Feldman and Dom DeLuise and everything. But that's the thing, too, is like, when I was a kid and I didn't know the story of Christopher Columbus, this was my first introduction to it, and as much as it's completely historically inaccurate, and Christopher Columbus is a fucking asshole, I still enjoy the film. I watched it recently, and I'm like, this still holds up a little bit. You know, Dom DeLuise was a fantastic Christopher Columbus. Corey Feldman's great as Pico, and honestly, like, I would love to meet Corey Feldman and be like, can you explain the Magic Voyage and how that happened? I don't know if it was a day of dubbing or something, but I would love to ask Corey that. But I really enjoy the Magic Voyage, even though it's a bad movie, and it makes no fucking sense, and it's annoying, but I love it. I think other ones, like, what other bad animated films? Felix the Cat is another one that I grew up with and enjoyed. Princess and the Goblin. Snow White's Happily Ever After by Filmation, the people behind He-Man. Trying to think what other animated films. That's really, yeah, I grew up with a lot of obscure animated films growing up. And even though I watched a lot of Disney, I was always exposed to other stuff. Gumby the Movie, you know, very obscure animated films that most people don't really had an eye to. In terms of bad movies that are so bad they're good, okay, I know these are classified as just fucking awful. Some of the non-scary movies, I actually do kind of get a kick out of. Most notably, Epic Movie, Date Movie, and Disaster Movie. And the reason for it, especially with the Epic Movie, is that it's like watching it's like watching a 4-year-old write a fan fiction completely drunk. And for what it is, those movies I think are fun because it's like, again, it's like watching bad fan fiction. And, you know, just all of a sudden, like, they go to Narnia, and who's part of the Battle of Narnia is Chewbacca and James Bond and Borat, of all things. They're all going to join this battle. And one of the things I hated about Epic Movie is that the battle was so anticlimactic. I was really hoping to see all these characters fight, which Ready Player One eventually did. But I don't mind movies like that. There's a lot of gross shit in them, which make me want to puke, but at the same time, I enjoy the aspect that they're just spoofing these titles, and they make it like bad fan fiction. So, in terms of guilty pleasures that I just make fun of, those are most of the films I would take a look at. And those are the films that are kind of my guilty pleasures. Have you seen Film Theory's Terrible Kong Skull End Theory? I did see the Skull End Theory. I fucking hated that video because they got it all of it wrong. They didn't do their homework. Want to hear a fucked up joke? Try me. Let's see. Try me, man. Try me, Master Builder. Have you heard of this YouTube name named the Omnivore? No, I've never heard of them. If you rent books that here, okay, that one there. It's just really cool that your dad worked on this album. Pink Floyd is my favorite band of all time. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Probably my favorite band of all time is the Eagles. I saw them live. I love their music. I love even the stuff they've done on their own, like their own spin-off stuff. I think Dina Henley is the one. I listen to a lot of his stuff. And I get really confused with him and Bryan Adams, actually. But other bands, I love Led Zeppelin. I like Black Sabbath, especially the Iron Man track. Or was that Black Sabbath? I think that was Black Sabbath. I'm not too sure. Lenny Kravitz. I'm trying to think what else. John Lennon always has some good shit. My guilty pleasure is Godzilla 98. It's okay. That's all I say. It's not a Godzilla movie, but it's a fun movie, and it's just the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. I haven't told the one fan film you were in. Which one? Because I've been in a couple of fan films. One of the ones I was in was The Rise of Dr. Terawatt. I actually helped out in that production. If you guys want to go to our channel, friends, on our channel, go check out Dr. Terawatt. He could really use the support because he puts out some great content and he has some great tech and everything. And in our show, he's our Tech 2 guy. So go check out Dr. Terawatt. Would you like to see a horror movie take on War of the Worlds? Nah, I think Steven Spielberg pretty much covered that. Are you aware of kaiju YouTubers, Anzi Productions, Kaiju Noir, The Unknown? Zazubar, I think I've heard of, but I'm not big on the whole kaiju YouTubers. The only ones the one I really follow a lot is GojiFan93. There's Kaiju Psycho Films because I've helped him out with some projects, and Nick Jackson. Those are, and this Justin Tang. I don't know much about your content, but I've seen you a couple times. So Clark Cable, the King of Hollywood, Gone with the okay. Okay, yeah, that guy from Gone with the Wind was like, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. If that was made today, he'd be like, frankly, my dear, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I've never seen Gone with the Wind. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but I think now I know who Clark Gable is. As Jack Driscoll? Nah, I don't think so. Let's press Diana Fold signal. Oh, okay. You know what? I can counter that, Master Builder. I can counter that. I remember I heard. Okay, what's the difference between? Well, what do Princess Diana and Pink Floyd have in common? Their last big hit was The Wall. Oh, not fuck it. I'll double that. What was the last thing going through Princess Diana's mind? The goddamn steering wheel. Boom. There's your dark joke of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see here. Battlefield Earth is probably my guilty pleasure. I've seen Nostalgia Critic's review of that, and it's just kind of meh. I mean, the only thing I remember is, when you let I got to spell your name, I was training to conquer galaxies. What are your thoughts on people saying that King Kong is secretly about the slave trade? Or about colonialism? I've seen Lindsay Ellis's video on the Kong loose cannon, and I can kind of see that, but I don't think it was implied by the directors. I don't think that was the case at all. If you want a real kind of philosophy and psychological look on what Kong is, go read the book King Kong Cometh, because it's a really interesting psychological take on everything that King Kong is in the pop culture. What do you think? Let's see. What do you think happened to Dwan during King Kong Lives? That's a good question, especially Jack and Dwan, because you wonder what happened to them. I think, if anything, Dwan ended up becoming a star overnight for all the wrong reasons. I think Jack pretty much went on his own, but I think over time, I think it's kind of like what my story is. I guess they kind of both came back together, and they both came into hiding. They both went into hiding. And the question about what happened to them in Lives, I can imagine them, reading the stories of what was happening, watching it all on the news and what was going on. And I can see them either being, really happy that Kong's alive, but at the same time feeling very appalled that they even resurrected him to begin with. And in terms of the Lady Kong, I don't know. Maybe there's a scene where Jack and Dwan find out that Kong and Lady Kong were together, and the whole thing went back to Borneo, and they're both happy that Kong eventually did find love and then did have a son. So I think, if anything, there'd be a lot of mixed emotions, but eventually by the end they would have been happy with what happened to Kong. Maybe sad that he died, but in the future of Kong, I think they would have been happy. Epic movie is epic trash. Yes, it is, but it's very guilty pleasure epic trash. Will you review the King Kong mangas? If I can get a hold of them, I totally would. They are hard to come by. Is King Kong vs. Orca another unmade Kong film? There's something made up. I heard it was and wasn't, but I think, if anything, I probably will review that at some point and talk about the concept of that. But in this sense, I'm not too sure. Is an unmade film? King Kong vs. Orca? Yeah, it was an unmade film. Okay, yeah, so maybe I will talk about that sometime. That's fucked up. Yeah, my jokes can't be fucked up, man. You'd be surprised how many jokes I can pull. Let's see. Peter Jackson. One has a April Fool's Day prank. Yeah, a lot of people have recommended me talking about that. I probably won't, because I don't really include behind the scenes series as a thing to review. So I probably won't talk about that, but I do know about that sequel thing. What is the worst movie you've ever seen in your life? King of the Lost World. King of the Lost World and 100 Million BC and Anything by the Asylum are the worst pieces of shit I've ever seen in my life. I think second worst, this is going to sound interesting, Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. The first one is my favorite Disney animated film. The second one's a piece of fucking shit. Oh my god. If it was a person, I would beat his ass. I would beat its ass. It's so fucking bad. I think at some point I do want to review that movie. I do want to just give it a really bad bashing, my complete full-on anger of how disgusted I was. And I want to give it the treatment that the Joker gave to Robin in Death in the Family, where I just want to take it to the VHS I own into a warehouse and beat it with a crowbar until it bleeds. That's what I would do with that movie, because that movie sucks hard. So, yeah, in my opinion, that is total trash. Other ones, worst movies, I'd say Three Musketeers from 2011. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Dragon Ball Evolution would be one of the worst, but I think there's some very teeny tiny redeeming qualities to it. But I think it hits me on a personal level why it sucks. It's not necessarily the film itself, but it hits me in a personal level why it sucked. And I will get to that at some point. What do you think of Scarlett Johansson? She's cool. That's all I can say. She's cool. Yikes. Yeah. Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 is fucking awful. It's fucking terrible. It's a shit-filled movie. And what were the actors thinking? What was Disney thinking? What were the animators at TMS thinking? Fucking terrible. I heard Tron Legacy was a mixed bag. I heard people liked it. I heard people hated it. Trying to think what. Let's talk about bad movies. Bangor King Kong was probably the worst movie I had to sit. Like, there's movies I hate. Like, there's different movies that I hate for different reasons. I hate Hunchback because it's a sheer raping of the first film, and it pisses me off. I hate Jurassic Park 3 and Jaws 3, I hate Jurassic Park 3 because it pisses me off. I hate Jaws 3D because it's boring as shit, and nothing happens. It's just a stupid movie, and the effects are terrible. I hate King of the Lost World because they're just straight up bad, and they infuriate me on how bad they are. And something like Bangor King Kong is bad because it was one of the worst movies I ever had to sit through. 2.5 hours. Or no, 2 hours, almost 2. It felt like an eternity. It felt like an eternity sitting through that piece of dumpster fire. Oh my god, it's fucking terrible. Although at times I will go back and look at scenes from it and kind of admire what they tried to do. What are some of the fan films you were in? Again, The Rise of Dr. Terrawat was a film I was in. And I am working on a secret project with one YouTuber that's really popular. I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm going to be doing a little voice work on that. So look forward to that. What's the most attractive or sexy actress? You know what? I mean, you're going to find this out, obviously, in my Mask of Zorro 20th anniversary retrospective, but when did Mask of Zorro come out? 98. I was, what was it? I think it was about maybe 6 or 7. Catherine Zeta-Jones, in my opinion, is like one of the greatest actresses alive, and she is very attractive. I still think to this day she still looks pretty good, but she was my first celebrity crush, and I really, really enjoy her talents, her efforts, and overall her personality. She's a really great person, really great actress, and stole my heart in '98 watching Mask of Zorro. So there you go. There's a question I thought I'd never answer. Yeah, you know who cares? Who cares? Worst movie I've ever seen in 2017. Yeah, that's a piece of shit. That movie makes me mad. The film theory. What did Film Theory get wrong on Skull Island? The name of the ship. In the original, they thought it was based on the one that they showed in the film with Skull Island, and they called it like the Explorer or something. It's like, no, you dumbasses, it's the Venture. Even I know that. And I only have like 2,000 subscribers, and you have millions of subscribers. How do you fuck that up? Worst movie ever seen is Roblox. Never heard of that. There's another giant monster film where after the fight, the winner ate the loser, or was Kong Skull Island the first? Rephrase that question, I'm not too sure. Let's see. Alright, so I think I'm going to end this live stream soon. I'm going to answer 3 more questions, and then after that, I'm going to call it a night because it is 1:39 in the morning. I think I'm going to do a little bit of writing before I go to bed. I will keep you guys updated of what's happening on the channel and the updates on the editing problems, as well as when these videos are coming out. So yeah, I'm going to answer 3 more questions, and I will let you know all that. Have you seen Power Rangers 2017? Yes, you will be seeing a review of that this summer. What are your thoughts on the recent... Yeah, I already answered that question. Well, I'm going to pick 2 more questions. I already answered the Tanzer channel. If you go back to a bit of the live stream, I did talk about that and my personal thoughts on it. All right, we got 2 more questions. Fire away. And while you're at it, check out our website and support us on Patreon. What are your thoughts on the animated Lord of the Rings movies and the Hobbit animated film? Okay, the animated Lord of the Rings trilogy, which are the 2 films by Rankin Bass and the Ralph Bakshi. I like them. I think they're fun. I really like the first Hobbit movie that Rankin Bass did. I think the songs are great. They even spoofed them in South Park, which I really appreciate. I even got that reference. The animation's to be desired. I like the designs. I love Down to Goblin Town in that film. But it's overall pretty good. Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings I really like. I think it's more closer to dialogue of the book. And even though it never really finished, it's still an interesting experimental film, as I would put it, with the animation and the rotoscoping. Rankin Bass Return of the King I did not care for. I thought that was really silly. It was really dumb. It didn't really get that. I know it was trying to keep in continuity with The Hobbit, but as a send-off to all the animated Lord of the Rings stuff, it doesn't work. So that's my thoughts on the anime films. Let's see. I answer 1 more question. Okay, this is Master Builder's. I'm going to answer Master Builder's last question here. Who is your top 5 favorite villains? I can't answer a top 5, but I will give you some of my personal favorites. My favorite villain, surprisingly, is Joffrey from Game of Thrones. I have been a Game of Thrones fan since it first started the show. And Joffrey was honestly so sinister, so hated, that every time he appeared on screen, I would get so fucking infuriated. And especially after the Red Wedding, there were so many times after that, there were so many times watching him, every time he was on screen, I wanted to take a baseball bat to my television. And I gotta give credit to Jack Gleason, I think his name is, right? Played one of probably the best villain in any form of media. And funny enough, guys, I will tell you the story right now. I've met the actor who plays Joffrey. I met him at Fan Expo. He barely didn't have a line. And I literally went up to him, and I heard that he was a really nice guy in real life, even though for playing such a little fucking bastard. And I literally went up to him and I was like, you don't know how many televisions I wanted to destroy with a baseball bat seeing you on screen. And he was taken back. He was actually he looked a little freaked out. I realized, oh shit, I went too far. But then I told him, I congratulated him. I said, you played one of the best villains, if not the greatest villain in any media. And he was actually really flattered and really surprised that I gave him that compliment, because he says he gets a lot of credit for being a great villain, to the point where he actually has been spitting face in public because people hate him that bad. He can't tell the difference between an actor and a character. But he was very complimentary. Very nice kid. Really nice kid. I was so surprised that he took that big of a compliment. He said, that's one you actually think about. He actually was questioning, You thought I was that good? I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Shook his hand and everything, and then I texted my mom afterward and I said, I shook hands with the devil. That's how I can put it, meaning Jack Leeson. I shook hands with the devil. So in my eyes, Joffrey is the definitive villain, is the greatest villain of all time. I've tried so hard for my villains to be a bit more sinister, but nothing's going to top Joffrey. Joffrey is pure evil. Second favorite villain of all time, Naraku from Inuyasha. Because one of my favorite aspects of villains is I wouldn't give a fuck less if they were after power and control. And that's all, and they want the girl and all this shit. That's too cliche. I like villains who like to fuck with people. I like villains who like to toy with the heroes and fuck with them emotionally. You know, like sadists who basically drink tears. Naraku is one of those villains. Every time he's a villain, every time I see him scream, I'm like, this motherfucker is an asshole. No, that's the thing. Naraku is the definitive version of an asshole because he fucks with people's emotions. If you guys watch Inuyasha, Naraku is he's not after power. He's just looking to he's just looking to mess with everybody. He messes with Inuyasha, he messes with Kikyo, he messes with Kagome, he messes with Sango, Moroku. Sango probably got the worst of it because her own brother tries to kill her, and eventually, you know, he goes to the bad guys and slaughters so many innocent people just to get a reaction out of Sango. What an asshole. Like, and that's got to be given credit to Rumiko Takahashi, who created the character, but also the voice, Paul Dobson. Fucking amazing, very sinister voice. But yeah, Naraku is second best villain. Third best villain, if we want to go through Disney, my two favorite Disney villains are Frollo and Lady Tremaine, the stepmother from Cinderella. Especially once you get to the third film. Because they took this character, she went from a slave owner to Lord Voldemort. And if that's the only route you can take, I'll give you kudos for actually giving her that much power and basically going completely cuckoo over it and being so manipulative at it. So for me, Lady Tremaine has always been my personal favorite villain in terms of power. Like kind of superpowers, but in terms of political power and, you know, getting into power, I would have to go with Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame. Those are some of the best villains. If we want to go by monstrous villains, basically creature villains, that's a toughie. Because there's so many great creature villains. I wouldn't say something like Frankenstein or any of that, because like those are just too because Frankenstein I consider an anti-hero in a sense. King Kong is kind of a villain depending on your point of view, but I wouldn't consider him a villain because he's sympathetic and he actually becomes a hero. I'd say my personal two favorite monster villains are the Mummy from 1998, the Imhotep mummy, and Dracula. The original Dracula and Christopher Lee's Dracula. I know they're still kind of humanoid, but I guess giant monster villains, I'd say probably King Ghidorah or Mechagodzilla. I like Mechagodzilla. That's a good villain because I've always liked villains who are evil duplicates of the other character. And while we're on the subject, the last best villain, like kind of genre villains, my favorite evil duplicate villain. Okay. I'm trying to think which one's a good one. Because there's several great evil duplicate villains. I love Mechagodzilla. I love Gumby Robot from the Gumby movie because he doesn't talk. He only talks once. But he's just got this full-on straight-faced Terminator, I'm going to kill you, even though I'm a piece of plasticine look. But that's one of my personal favorites. Trying to think of, Mad Jack. Mad Jack from there's an episode of Samurai Jack from the first season. It's my personal favorite episode of Samurai Jack. It's Jack versus Mad Jack, and it's where Samurai Jack is just getting taunted by bounty hunters. He's almost getting killed every other second, and he loses his temper. and his negative, anger-tempered energy creates Mad Jack, and it leads to one of the best fight scenes in the show's history, one of the best animated fight scenes I've ever seen, and it's him and it's Jack and Mad Jack just fighting in the forest. The forest goes up in flames. They're locked into place, and Jack then suddenly goes into kind of a very trance, kind of settles down, and then destroys Mad Jack by sending his own rage back into his body, and eventually calming himself. But yeah, Mad Jack's one of my personal favorite duplicate bad guys. So yeah, I hope that answers a lot of your questions. So again, last minute update. Our editing software is kind of fucked right now, so a lot of projects are going to be delayed indefinitely, and we're going to be basically getting these projects done when they're done, and we'll keep you posted. We're going to hold off on trailers because eventually what I want to do is have the trailers out when they're finished, when the videos are finished, and maybe have a Patreon link to them so you can see them early, but you can get a little glimpse of what's happening. But yeah, for now we're just kind of on, a lot of things are on hold until we can get this editing software fixed. We will try to get as much as we can for you. Maybe we'll post some old videos. Who knows? But for now, guys, if you want to support the channel, continue watching our content, share said content, go to our official website. Our official website can really use some love. Go support our channel friends. Be sure to check us out on Patreon. We are looking for more Patreon stuff, and you can request for episodes of opening night. You can request videos if you a certain amount. And yeah, this was overall a good time just getting the chance to talk to you guys. So bottom line, everything's still on fire, but we're trying to hold through, we're trying to pull through, and we're going to try to get the stuff done as soon as we can. So until the next video, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. This is BigJackFilms signing off. It is almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and have a good night. Take care.